Yeah, same. I had 2 hot dogs and a handful of chips, and I'm like, ooh, I
Hot
could eat.
dogs.
Hot
Mm-hmm.
dog.
Did you like make them yourself, or did you go to a venerated hot dog purveyor?
I did something worse than that. Well, first of all, I like Nathan's hot dogs. They're new to me.
Okay.
I'd never had them before moving to New York, and once I moved to New York, it was Nathan's hot dogs everywhere. Um, and I like them, so I got a pack of plump Nathan's hot dogs, but
Hmm.
it looked like it was going to rain today, so I didn't grill them.
Did you just
I put
boil
them in the
them?
oven.
And
Oh God, no!
okay,
Oh,
because
I cannot boil a hot dog. I put them in the
yeah,
oven.
the creation of that weenie water is some of the like
Oh
worst
yeah.
abominations that
Oh no, I
I've
can't. The
ever seen.
smell. The smell is terrible. It's just I do not do boiled hot dogs. That's why the summer is the best time of year to me because it's the only time I'll eat a hot dog because it's the only time I really grill, you know. But I baked them and they tasted excellent. I was like, oh, maybe I can eat hot dogs more often. It's not going to happen, but you know, I had never done it before. I
All
mean, we
right.
bake sausages all the time, but like not hot dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know why the correlation never hit me.
Well, we are live. Once we check levels, we can be on our way. What? What? What?
Wait, was the hot dog conversation live?
Oh yeah, we got all
Oh,
that.
that's terrible. That
Oh
is
yeah.
terrible.
Oh
You don't want people
yeah.
to hear about us making sausage?
Okay, listen, a hot dog and a sausage are two very different things.
Quite.
Those
Uh,
two, however tubular similar they
And
are,
Are they
meaty.
are they totally tubular?
nah, not in the 80s sense, no. Oh, this is radical. No. I have 10 woods.
Only 10 woods?
Only 10 woods. I'm making torches.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna need them for the
Yeah.
sky rail.
Wouldn't want a dark sky rail. There's strangers
No,
at
we
night.
wouldn't. Don't want anybody spawning. Well, we did turn on the option to always have it daytime.
So if it's always daytime, we can save the effort of torches, because that's quite an effort.
Yeah, that's really true.
We're
But
gonna need more torches in our new to be
yeah,
under
the
like
new home.
city over here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space to expand.
Boop,
Lots.
boop.
Okay, now I'm speaking for my sound check. You guys sound good, but hopefully I sound better. Here we go.
Always.
Always and forever.
Ugh. Don't know why there's a hole there. Yep, yep, yep.
Oh, you mean my hallway?
No, there's just some random hole in the ground where I've been
Oh,
chopping up trees.
I was about to say if you hit my hallway, it's because I missed.
So Vast, are we good
Man.
to go?
And I was muted, guys. The stream sounds great. Let's go.
Okay. Well, we're making another podcast, and I think, hopefully, maybe, possibly, we can talk about my favy train car on the hype train that's Cyberpunk 2077. I sent and badgered and pestered my
And
compatriots.
berated.
I didn't
And
do that.
berated.
I didn't do. I did not. Would I berate my friends? No. The answer is no.
When it comes to
Hmm.
Cyberpunk, the answer is yes. Also,
No.
I have a hot take that's going to come to the end of this conversation,
Yeah.
but Scorch, be prepared.
Okay.
Be
Uh,
prepared.
all right. All right. Anything for content, right? As long as I'm
Hmm.
not like putting things in butts.
What?
Uh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything for content. We also have a few more things that we want to hit. Like, at least me. I didn't post any links in our link dump or anything like that about the absolute hate that is going directed wrongfully towards Naughty Dog and the people that worked on The Last of Us 2,
I haven't
um,
heard this. This will be interesting.
as well as some PlayStation 5 stuff.
Yeah, PlayStation
Yeah.
5 stuff.
So I feel like we the meat of our podcast is going to be about Cyberpunk, right? Since that's most of what the research went into,
Yeah, 70%.
right? So why don't we save that for later and hit
The
the
miscellaneous.
smaller things first? What do you think?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Okay, Arcadius, how about you talk about your link first?
So, Sony has fully tooled up their PlayStation 5 assembly line, and it is much like all their other PlayStations, which are robotically put together, like the PlayStations before them. This one is cranked up to a pace of one PlayStation 5 every 30 seconds comes off the assembly line. The assembly line is constructed of robots from the Mitutoyo brand, and I don't know if that makes a difference or they've used those. I'm pretty sure they've used those in the past, and I believe there are only 4 personnel on the floor. 2 to
Mm.
put parts on the conveyor, and 2 to remove fully completed PlayStations from the conveyor.
Leave it to Japan.
Japan. Efficiency
E-
extraordinaire.
That is
Efficient.
incredibly impressive. Every 30 seconds.
Quite. 30 seconds. Everyone, every 30 seconds.
Whew, whew.
It is a lot.
It is a lot. That is a lot.
That is, as they say, a lot.
Oh man.
Does this mean that I'm really curious about what their numbers are so far? I know that's not something they're going to probably release to the public, but like how many they'll have ready by, say, pre-order? Because again, it always comes back to me and my desperate need to be able to pre-order this thing and have it at on my doorstep when it's supposed to drop.
So I
Yeah.
have the feeling that they learned their lesson with PlayStation 4 with how high that demand was and they were not prepared for it. So I have the feeling this time around they're gonna be prepared for it. And right now it's to the tune of every 30 seconds.
Well, I think partially they released this metric because people were worried about the stock that they were going to have at release. Because
Which also
that,
makes a big deal to shareholders.
yeah, that definitely left an impact on the community thinking about like, oh, are they gonna have enough stock on release? Because that's one of the things they said they may be limited on release. And another thing that we have to think about is that towards the end of the article they mentioned this, was that they will be splitting that factory into 4 when PlayStation 5 ramps up production. And that is PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, PlayStation 5, and the discless all digital PlayStation 5. I don't know if that's going to
Mm.
change how fast that they can spit out um, PlayStation 5s because
Well, I mean,
that's
right
that's
now
what we
what they're
want.
probably gonna do, like, if I was a business person, right now it'd be all PlayStation 5s. And what would happen is once fives have a generous backlog for the pre-order segment, then they would diversify the assembly line or take the time to break down the assembly line, diversify it, and then keep chugging.
Yeah. Oh man. Do we have anything else to say about that?
That was pretty much the article. There wasn't much to it other than that. They'd be
Yeah.
making lots of PlayStations.
They'd be making a lot of PlayStations. I don't have something that's specific to PlayStation 5, but I do have like a little article that I just didn't think to send to you guys, but it sprang to mind about
Mhm.
Sony's like future kind of plans and positioning. You know, we noticed that like all throughout the console life cycles for like PlayStation 4 and Xbox, whatever the last one was, One X. Um, no shade, I just really couldn't remember it for a second. Um, that they were out there trying to partner and purchase other, studios and bring them underneath their umbrella. Well,
Mhm.
recently in the news, there have been rumors or verified stories, because this came from Bloomberg, that Sony wants to buy Leo Technologies, which is the major stakeholder in Digital Extremes and Warframe.
Ooh. Are
Ooh.
they gonna make DE a first party?
That's what it. If they purchase this company, they might become Digital Extremes might become a first party Sony developer,
That's
which
pretty
would be really
cool.
cool. But they were also saying that gaming studio also has a bunch of other things, including a upcoming Lord of the Rings MMO, and other free to play titles. So they wouldn't just be getting DE, but
I mean, that's
I
what
think it'd be
matters,
really
right?
cool. Yeah, that was matters to me. I think that'd be really cool, and it might give some future framework plans for them too. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite.
Oh, well, shall we
Quite.
move on to less fun things and then move on to really fun things?
Yep. Let's talk about the hate people give.
Oh my gosh. So
The hate people give.
I don't know if y'all have been paying attention to Twitter or anything like
Not
that,
really. I'm not a
but
Twitter aficionado.
um,
I
I'm
twits with them.
I'm starting to actually lean on it more and more for things that are going on out in the world. I'm kind of a late adopter in that respect, but the people at Naughty Dog and the people that worked on The Last of Us 2 have been posting screenshots of the messages they've been sent from the random vagabonds of the internet that are so totally heinous, and they are directed at the fact that there are certain people, and I know this is going to blow your mind, there are certain people that did not like The Last of Us 2.
No. You
And
don't say.
and these people that are sending employees and voice actors and the director Neil Druckmann and it's essentially anybody that's attached to the title, they've been sending them like threats of violence and death
Really?
threats and
Yeah.
At some point, I've always wondered, like, do we really take these people seriously to some degree? Like, that's like the de facto thing is like, so and so didn't like this, and they got death threats. I mean, really? Like, of all the things that you'd threaten death over, a video game?
yeah, really. I mean, uh, you don't really have to take it from me. You can take it as a statement of fact that being angry about a story that you didn't come up with and you had no point in making, uh, to the point where you would threaten someone's life over it is really, really in bad taste, and you should really review your priorities.
hmm I would go just one step further and say that while I understand the power of storytelling, and I understand, while I never played The Last of Us or The Last of Us 2, I understand how much people gravitated to the storylines and the characters, and how certain spoilers that I've heard about the game would have been deeply upsetting and maybe even disturbing in the way that they were executed. Totally get that. Totally get that. Um, but if, like Scorch says, if you want to protest or complain or talk about it, like opening up a dialogue about that kind of thing is really good. Threatening the voice actors with bodily harm who
Yeah,
are just paid to read lines, threatening the writers who are
They just
paid to
write.
bring
Like,
who just
folks,
write
they
a
write.
and paid to bring someone else's, like the creative studio's vision to life. That's totally beyond the pale. It's something that you guys really shouldn't be out there doing.
yeah,
And we gotta we gotta come up with some more constructive ways for y'all to like get your negativity out.
yeah,
If you know
definitely.
what, if you want a better ending, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Write it yourself.
Yeah,
Take that angry energy, that pettiness, that bitterness, and funnel it into something and become the person who creates a better storyline the next go around. Get into the gaming industry and change things. Make your own fan fiction. Do your own video about it, but don't threaten people.
yeah,
Don't threaten the people
definitely.
who create the thing that you love. That's just
Or at this
Yeah,
point,
it's
apparently used to
poor
love.
form. Or used to love.
yeah. They're pulling in some like political viewpoints and stuff into all of it as well, and
Really?
Yeah, it's not pretty. Like
Hmm.
I was going to reference some of the things that were said, but I feel like it is one in my best interest and two in everybody else's best interest that I don't repeat the obscenities that were used in some of these
Hmm.
tweets. And you know me, I have a potty mouth. So, like
Get that soap out.
yeah, getting further than that, even making me like tilt my head is it's hard,
Eh.
and these people did it.
Yep. Yep.
Ugh.
So what kind of things can we do? Like I always like a constructive part of the conversation, but what kind of things can we do to um
Oh.
because I feel like the the devs and the people at Naughty Dog, while they're doing their part in like clipping these things and showing the behavior, because like holding a mirror to somebody is a really good way of like showing that the behavior is wrong. What are other ways that you know we as a gaming community can help people who are, because some of these people are probably too like they're old enough to understand but young enough not to really understand the ramifications of their actions. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the old people who are just out there wilding
I was
out
about to
and
say
being
that sounds more
assholes.
like anybody. I mean, for an
Yeah.
adult to do that, that's not
Yeah.
child
Yeah.
limited behavior. That's pretty
Yeah.
much common behavior for people who
But
are angry and not of sound mind.
mm, mm. But I don't know. So what other things can we do? We're talking about we're opening up the dialogue and hopefully the twos of people who are watching this it'll spark maybe a conversation with you and your friends about it too. That's one way. Is there any other things you guys can think of?
Well, for one, just talking about it in a community sense, like on forums and stuff, just between the players themselves, which takes the devs out of the equation, where you can simply just talk about the game and why you did or didn't like it. That's one way to, what I would say, flesh out the stupid concerns and bring to light the more vivid concerns that are actually actionable by the dev team. Like help sift out the garbage stuff that doesn't really matter, that just happens to make like some arguments like only like 5 people cared about, but those are the people that might threaten others because of it being terrible. And it's like, no, the real problems were actually like this graphical concern. Your little concern about your
Yeah.
gun didn't fire right on this one level in this one position that you're willing to like go to arms over. It's like, no, that one didn't matter. But this one, the level glitched and didn't allow me to finish the level. That's significant, and that can be talked about.
Yeah. Anthem.
God damn it, Anthem. That
um,
game.
yeah. But it was really disappointing to see all of that because um, how do I put this? The vocal minority always can, for the most part, blow out the real conversation that's going on.
Yeah,
And I think
definitely.
that overall, Naughty Dog achieved what they wanted to achieve in the game and in their narrative storytelling and creating this really amazing experience. And I will continue to call it amazing because it has evoked this kind of reaction in people,
Hmm.
like extreme love or extreme hate of
Like
it.
you wouldn't get that kind of reaction out of a mediocre game.
Yeah.
No.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
also, this like seething hatred is quite useless in more ways than one. You're burning your energy. You're hopefully not going to follow through with any of it. And also, in the first 3 days of The Last of Us 2 being out, it sold 4 million copies. So you can kick and scream all you want. It's not going to hurt Naughty Dog's bottom line.
Somebody somewhere didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of people who loved it, or there are plenty of people who are probably disappointed in what happened to some of their favorite characters, but like stuck with the game and made it to the end and like had an overall positive experience with it. So
Yeah, definitely. If this eventually at all makes it to any of the affected parties of any of this, just know that we are with you and good work on all of that you do, and we support you in all of your endeavors because, damn, if you got that kind of reaction, that you did something. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Mm,
Hmm.
quite.
So with that out of the way, do you want to talk about some Cyberpunk?
Oh, Cyberpunk. What is this? Cyberpunk 2077.
Well, fast. It's a thing that is made by CD Projekt Red that they debuted. I want to say like 7 years ago or something like that. It was a long way off. It was like, yeah, the first trailer was just 30 seconds long, and it was the trailer of the bullet shearing off of that woman's cheek as the cops were shooting at her.
That's right.
Yep. And that took very that was like really really long time ago. But there's some new information that they've sent out to the masses. Uh, and they let people play it, and I've
For 4 hours,
sent
mind you.
for
4 hours.
4 hours. It was the prologue, and I've sent it to these other yahoos that don't share my passion for cyberpunk, and I forced them, I forced it down their gullets so that we could speak about it because one, it's topical in a baseless attempt to grab viewership, here we are, and also I'm passionate about this game.
Quite.
Yes, yes, yes. So, what I sent along to my compatriots are a couple of things from the games journalist Alana Pierce, who got to play it early, and she spoke about what she experienced, and I specifically sent this to them because she went over some contrast about how it's changed over the last couple of years, and also it was just fun to listen to somebody as passionate about this game talk about it from a standpoint of somebody that actually got to play it. Damn it, I didn't get to play it, but
Future. That's the future. That's what we're
yes,
going for.
it is. Um, so what did y'all think? Because you already know my opinion.
I did not expect there to be as much uniqueness to the story as was conveyed in the intro review. What I mean is the fact that four people played four characters, four different starter characters, and got four completely different, just the intro segment being completely different. That means there is going to be quite a lot to do in that game.
Oh yes, and I'm so
And
happy
pretty much
for it.
no two people's stories are going to be alike. And I
Yeah.
am actually okay with that.
Yeah, for like a little bit more detailed there. Um, oh, we watched two videos with there were two videos with Alana, one with herself and then one where she had three other members of the gaming community. One was from What's Good Gaming, I think that's Megan, and the other
Yeah.
one was Blessings from Kind of Funny, and then the last one I believe her name was Miranda, but I'm not familiar with her, so I apologize if I don't know who you are, um,
But you are
but
somebody.
you are
Yes. We
somebody
listened to
special.
you.
We did, and we enjoyed your opinions. But what they were saying is that there are three character background stories or character tracks that you can start as, and
Hmm.
one is a nomad, which means I guess you're starting outside of the city,
Hmm.
or it's a character who grew up outside of the city. Second one is a street kid, so you're somebody who grew up in the streets of Night City, and then the third one is, oh gosh, what do they call it?
A
A
corpo.
corporate
Corpo?
corpo, and you're someone
Corpo?
who is affiliated with one of the major corporations that are inside of Night City. So I guess you're like a yuppie or upper middle class science bro, I guess, maybe somewhere in there. And that's something that I really liked. Another thing that Alana mentioned is that she um, did one specific mission, and it was in the prologue mission, and there were apparently 7 different outcomes for that mission.
Yeah.
And as she was describing it, one of she was like, I did. She said like during my run, I did it very like passively, and she convinced a gang to fight for her, and they were the ones who completed the mission for her in some kind of way. I don't know. It just sounded like I wish I could have seen the gameplay so I could understand how it worked outside of me picturing just like dialogue trees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it sounded really cool.
So the
So,
the mission that she was referencing was the mission that they showed off two E3s ago, where they got the chip from Dexter Deshawn and were tipped off about that drone that they called the Flathead,
mm,
and that was being kept by a gang in a meatpacking plant, and they were Dex wanted you to go and get the Flathead from the gang, and you saw that, right? You saw that gameplay, right?
Yeah, that was at the very that
yes.
was early release
Yeah.
gameplay.
Um, so uh, how she did it, like the certain sequence of events that led up to her completing that mission in such a way where the gang squared off against Militech instead of the main character, or Alana, having to fight either the
Either.
gang or
Yeah.
Militech or both at the same time is, I think, the culmination of what you're talking about. Am I
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes. It was really cool, just the way that she was describing it and everything like that. Another thing that I enjoyed, this was, well, actually, this was the other video that wasn't specific to Lana, but just the gameplay video that they were showing.
Hmm.
Do you remember that one sequence where the guy was like scaling some train cars to get inside of like some gang's hideout,
Yeah.
and his shadow is what alerted the guards in there?
Oh,
Or at least
really?
that's how I took it. That's how I took it when I was viewing it. It looked like he was like he wasn't to me. He wasn't visible from
Around the
the
corner.
yeah, the AI's perspective. But I saw an alert flash when its shadow hit the floor. So
That's pretty
if
cool.
that's the case, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because a whole new meaning to the word stealth. Every light bulb is gonna have to go out.
Gonna have to
Just like
splinter cell
Splinter Cell.
everything.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And
Shoot
thus
every
darkness
light
falls.
bulb.
Which is one of the things that Alana mentioned that you can approach, like with most open world games nowadays, though, you can approach um, games from either, or excuse me, gameplay from either like a stealth approach or from like the run and gun approach. And as someone who would like to be a ninja but can't, that was really nice to hear.
Yeah. I'm very excited to get my hands on this thing because it seems like I'll be sunk into it for a very long time, and I won't have to worry about anything for at least a
You're
little
gonna be getting
while.
it for PC, aren't you?
I will be. I built a PC for it. So this will be the most expensive game that I have ever bought because of that PC build.
But PCs are that's good for a while.
Oh yeah, hopefully. We'll see. So, I I want to talk about whether or not your opinion of the game has changed, Vast, since you have seen this new stuff. Because I know that this game didn't grab you like it immediately grabbed me, and that's fine. We can have totally different opinions, but they did mention a few things that I think may at least touch on parts of what you were worried about. Like, Alana Pierce mentioned that some of the dialogue has been toned back and it's not so like
F you.
intentionally edgy, and
Mm.
that it seems like more of
More
like
likable characters and
more
people.
normal people out in the world. She also mentioned that it felt very much like she was a part of the city, and she like the city did not revolve around her. Like the city existed as a separate entity that she was just a part of.
So that was one of the things that I was really interested in, and so let me just take a step back because I am interested in the game. I don't necessarily know like as a gaming or cultural like touchstone at this point, but the game itself doesn't necessarily appeal to what I like as a gamer. It could, but just the way that it's like packaged and packaged, it just doesn't feel like it's got the. I really like storytelling, right? So I don't know if it has it's going to lay out the story in a way that I'm going to enjoy the most. Okay, that's where I'm starting with.
Okay.
But one of the things that I'm super curious about how everything's going to be executed in the game, and I'm really really interested in the customization options of the game, and I'm also very curious about going back to what you were saying about how you exist in this world because it feels like they were doing their best, their darndest to make it fully realized in a way that we haven't seen in open world games before.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of most open world games, and this is probably a really bad statement because I haven't played as many as I would like, but they're usually kind of empty, or they take place in a vast desert world, or like I don't think of any that is actually are completely contained in a city like this. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about GTA at all. So that's got me like really curious about how is this city going to exist? How are they going to make it real? And Alana mentioned like she gave a shout out to all of the artists and designers who were working on the game, devs who were working on the game, who were putting things like building rooms that players may not ever see because they won't go exploring in this place. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool. What are they going to put in those rooms? What if you are the person who explores? What are you going to find there?
Yeah.
That's the
And then
mystery.
yes, and then she talked about as you're walking around the city, if you stop and stare at people, after a certain amount of time, the NPCs will like become alert and they'll look up from their phones, or maybe they'll look up from their conversations and like see you, and so there's like a little bit of interaction there. I'm also really curious about how the city districts are going to work. Or and by work I mean their look and feel. Like
Mm-hmm.
how different or how varied are they going to be from one another? Because it's a futuristic city. We've seen a lot of those on the screen. So how are they going to execute that? How are we going to know? Like, is it just the corporate side places are like looking like an evil Sony PlayStation 5 in the distance? Like all white and blue lights, like you're going into an Apple store. And like, how are your interactions in those areas going to be if you walk in there looking like you're from, the lower edge of the city? Those kind of things. I'm really curious about how if they're going to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I won't know that until the game comes out, unfortunately. I didn't play it, but
But we're getting there.
we
It's getting
are
there.
eventually.
They've only delayed it one more time.
One more time.
Do you think they're over with delays?
I don't know. With a game that big and as crazy as 2020 has been with uprooting people and having them work from home, and that always involves like expanding your security, and if they didn't
Which I
already
do want to
have.
anecdotally point out, although it is somewhat aligned, most companies are noticing an uptick in productivity with the work from home rather than a downtick for the technological side. Just throwing that out there.
For those industries that can work from home, there are some that can't.
Yes, caveats.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why I said the technical one, the techie industries that can work from home.
Yes, and if you can work from home, remember to if you're setting your own hours, shut off that laptop when you say you're going to shut off your laptop. Because that's where some of that productivity comes from. It comes from you sitting there.
My dad is totally skewing those numbers. He is absolutely to blame for working past when he's supposed to.
Yes. So don't forget to take your breaks. Get up and leave your computer sometimes. And unless that email is super important, go ahead and just close it when you said you are. Just close the laptop because you'll burn yourself out. I know.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I know.
I don't know if I would be able to function at all as a work from home person. I kind of
Well,
need to
not
like
fun.
get out and do the thing and come back.
So, total side story, I think I'd already mentioned this. My first, quote, week of actually working from home, I didn't even realize until the end of the week, I never set foot outside my house.
Oh,
Like, literally, I was like, Saturday morning, I was like, I'm going to go stand outside. And I opened my door and went outside for the first time.
dang,
Yeah.
what a life.
I know.
it'll get you.
Safe to say, I'm not used to working from home.
Yeah.
It'll get you.
So Arcadius, what did you think about the whole thing? We spoke from my perspective and also Vast's perspective, but you've been kind of silent on all of it.
So I'll echo a lot of the same stuff, similarly speaking, but I think the part that gets me that has probably made a lot of people excited is the fact that even from the beginning demo stuff, they have portrayed how many different ways you can slice this thing. And they're, rather than, to Vast's point of being told a story, you're going to really make your own. It sounds like they have a chain of stories available for you to happenstance upon based on your choices, but there is no cookie cut, here's the story, kerplop. Like, it's not going to be something, I don't think, that is laid out in front of you as cleanly like other typical video games. So I think that's what has people intrigued, because it's not normal in that regard.
And that was something that Alana mentioned. She said that the majority of the gameplay that she said, and like her talks with the devs, was there were very few cutscenes. That most of the cinematic moments were rendered in game, and outside of a couple of instances in that like one or two cutscenes that was in the prologue itself, she always had control of her character and her camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She could
So
make
she
the
could-
conscious choice of getting up and
So-
walking away.
Yeah, what kind of excites me about that, though, is that there's going to be, like, you're going to be in the throes of a major moment, and they're going to wedge an Easter egg way off in the distance, a completely opposite of the person that is talking to you, whom you should technically be giving your full attention to, but you won't, because you'll know, where is that Easter egg? You will want it so badly. And I think it's like that just knowing that is going to, not an if, it's going to exist in one of these conversations somewhere, but nobody knows where.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be a game where nobody finds it all, because it sounds like this is so detailed and there's like stuff on stuff on stuff to the point where
Like, I completely imagine they ask the employee base, all right, everyone provide a situation and we're going to make it. Like, it's like,
yeah, might be.
there's so many different things that they need ideas for. They're like, all right, everyone, you get a moment all to you. tell us what you want to happen. And I think everyone who's ever worked on it, all the way from the artists to the renderers,
The
the
janitor.
devs, yeah, freaking everyone gets their moment to be like, that I wrote that part.
Yeah.
That was me.
That'd be pretty cool. Definitely.
I mean, for a game this detailed, wouldn't that almost have to happen?
Yeah.
Like, what could they possibly not afford to do by giving everyone a moment of the video game of this level of fidelity?
Yeah. And
So, finding some of those interesting Easter eggs alongside the main story, as little and trivial as they might seem, is kind of the excitement to me. So,
and speaking of Easter eggs, they did mention one. If you picked the Street Kid prologue and character, the backstory, your first mission is to steal a car, or one of the first missions is to steal a car, and it's super special, and it's like from a CEO of a company and all of that, and the car is named after Geralt's sword from The Witcher.
I was one. Well, okay. Side note, I remember that scene, and first of all, I wanted that car.
Yeah,
Second of all, I
just
wanted
the
them to
doors alone, man.
yeah,
Oh my gosh!
it
I
was
was
like a
expecting
reverse
like
Koenigsegg.
Yeah,
yeah, I was expecting something, but not that. And then when you got in, the interior was really nice. I loved what they did with the windows there, and I was like, yes, why? Where is this technology now? Give
Digi
this to me.
Windows.
yeah,
Yes. And then when you sat down in there, the steering wheel did have that really cool, futuristic vibe. But then you saw the name right there, like
And stitched
like
in leather texture.
yes. And I was like, oh, this must mean something, but I had no context to it because usually in your vehicle, it's unless you have a short name, it's just the logo instead of the name. So that's why I thought it was
yeah,
something special. So I'm glad that you told me that because I didn't know.
yeah. But little things like that are going to be everywhere. They're going to be rampant in this, and it's probably not just going to be references to CD Projekt Red's other titles either. It's going to be strewn across probably multiple pop culture things. It could come from
Oh, yeah.
literature, it could come from the original tabletop game, which I'm sure there's going to be plenty of. It can come from other video games, it can be comics, whatever. We're probably going to see it if it's like sci-fi at all.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully
Well,
not to the point of like the 80s were amazing jack off fest that was Ready Player One, because that shit was crap.
I didn't watch that movie.
I tried to
did.
read the book, and I got halfway through it and put it down because my eyes were getting tired from me rubbing them all the time because I was so aggravated. It was rough. It was real rough. You don't have to read that book. It's crap.
They made a movie.
They did.
I
Which
watched the movie.
just one day, guys. One day I'm gonna just sit down and finish mine because it can't be that bad. So here's a question.
Huh.
One of the things that you mentioned in the while we were prepping or whatever is that the hate in the comments for the official gameplay footage was pretty filled with people saying, "Oh, this sucks. Oh, this sucks." So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you guys about that.
For Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Yeah, for Cyberpunk.
That,
there's
There's not
so-
enough there to say it sucks. I mean, that kind of peeves me on any new game that comes out. They're like, "Oh, this game totally blows." It's like it's a literal snapshot. You literally got to see one thing.
yeah. I mean, this game has been hyped for a really long time. It's been in development for a really long time, and there are people out there that absolutely must find the negative in anything that happens. And I think those people are rising to the top right now, especially when
vocal minorities.
the world is so divided right now, and the anger and animosity is so easy to see and so easy to pick up on. And it's magnified in the video game industry what with the releases that we've recently had, like Anthem, like Destiny, like Battlefront 2 in its original state, like what we're seeing with Star Wars Squadrons, stuff like that.
So I'm glad that you mentioned this, Scorch, because here's my hot take.
Ooh.
You are gaming bad luck.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, I was sitting here thinking about the
I'm
games
gaming bad luck.
that I tentatively boarded the hype train for at your urging because I heart you. I adore you. And you're good peoples. And
Well,
I
thank
was
you.
like, okay, Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, that's because
That
I was a
was-
fan of the original trilogy.
Yes.
I mean, no one could really see it for what it was based on the previous trilogy. I'll have to say that.
And it wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't as good as I'm sure
I
everyone
thought it was
wanted
okay.
to be. But
I never
bad.
played all the original trilogy, but even then, I thought it was okay. There were a couple
Yeah.
of janky things about it for sure, but
The trilogy was better.
Mm-hmm.
and I'll believe you.
And I believe you. It just didn't live up to its promise. And there were other things. We covered that. Go listen to some of our past podcasts because you're going to be stuck at home for a while.
Yeah.
And if you don't think you're going to be stuck at home for a while, stay home when you can. And if you have to go out, wear a mask. Okay, PSA done. Second, I mean, this isn't quite fair because it's also BioWare, but
It's not fair. It's BioWare.
Anthem. Yeah.
also bored of the. But I like hype my own self up because that game gave me such an amazing sense of
Well, yeah,
freedom.
It
when you
looked
show
great.
a trailer that's not actually the real game, that's better than the real game, and you say this is going to be the game, people are going to be pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
But they won't know until it's too late.
And flying in that game was really cool.
Yeah, still the best mechanic of flight that I've played in some video games.
This is retroactive because I didn't know you at the time, but Destiny.
Well, all I can say is that without Destiny, this podcast and this community made up of 4 people would not
Four
exist
amazing people.
without
Nope, it would not exist.
Yeah, it would not exist.
It brought a lot of people together. It really
It did.
And like you don't need to defend yourself. I'm just bringing. These are receipts. These are receipts.
Receipts.
This receipt is so old, the ink on the print has almost worn completely
Yeah,
off, and you can't
the
read
paper has yellowed.
But
you
it's
can just
still there.
barely
So,
make out what's written on it.
Yeah.
so my question is, Scorch, as high on the hype train as you are, like you are in the executive class of this Snowpiercer train.
Oh yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Do you think it's going to live up to its promise?
I think, all right, the game is really ambitious. It's more ambitious, I would say, than like Anthem or
Anything
Destiny.
before it.
I think that the people that want to see it in a negative light will see it in a negative light, and the people that
Like
will
any
see
game.
it, the people that want to see it in a positive light will see it in a positive light, and there will be bugs. This is a giant game. It's an RPG. You can't separate them all of the way, especially in an open world that is ambitious as this. It's going to be really divisive, regardless of the quality of the thing that comes out. It's going to be divisive. It's going to have to be up to us as people that want to be as objective as possible. I'm not going to say totally objective because we're not. We are absolutely not. For us to sit down and break it down with as level of a head as possible. I think that's where we're going to be able to flex our muscles. Does that make sense?
I'll buy that.
It does. It does. I'm going to put you down for it's going to be great. But if it's not great, I'm going to add this to your receipt list.
Okay. I mean, I never told you had to buy it. I'm just telling
Or
you
keep a
that you're
list
gonna
gonna buy
of
it.
listen to it.
failures. Tracking
Huh,
failures, I see.
wait. Did you just
I
tell me
am
that
gonna
you were
listen to
gonna
it.
buy it? What?
You guys already knew that.
No. I thought that you were like an absolute no on this. I thought you were gonna
No.
like,
That it just, oh, it looks cool.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
No. I'm a grown woman with no children. What else am I going to spend my money on?
especially when you can't go outside or do
Yeah, I
outside
was about
Yeah.
to say they're about to enable you, make it to where you won't be able to enjoy seeing the sun. Someone will come by and go, hey, that was your
Yeah.
5 minutes. Get back
Okay.
inside.
That's enough
Get back
sun for you.
inside. That's why I'm so grateful to live where I am right now because there's distance. I could actually walk from my house to the back fence and come back, and it's like, 1,000. I forgot how many steps it was. I calculated it once. It's a lot of steps. It's a lot of steps. Okay,
Nice.
so I can get some exercise in.
Oh, that's good.
I could be outside.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I said to make you think that I wasn't going to purchase the game. I really am. Maybe it's because I'm like being really cautious about
Hesitant.
talking about it, and like just clearly identifying, right now that these are the things that I typically enjoy in video games. These are the things that I see um, in Cyberpunk that don't quite jive with what I normally enjoy, but it's not like I'm going to go into it with, like a negative expectation or anything like that. I'm going in to enjoy it. And if nothing else, that character creator is going to give me hours of fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can customize teeth. She was talking about you
Yeah,
being
she
able to
did mention
customize
that. I was
teeth.
like, what game allows you to customize your teeth?
Oh, also the ability to hack into other people.
Yes, there
Yeah.
was like a weird mini tutorial for the ability to. It wasn't necessarily just like a little attachment, but it had like its own little instruction book type thing that goes with
Oh,
it.
are you talking about
And
brain dance?
it's not brain dancing, it's literal hacking. And one of the four panel people mentioned that played their 4 hour access was like she ended up basically equipping this mod, kind of learning how to use it, and then there was an entire side mission dedicated to teaching you how to
Oh, yeah,
properly
yeah.
use it.
It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
they showed some of that footage in one of the other videos, the official like gameplay um,
Hmm.
footage where you're at a distance, you bring up the menu, and like there were several options. I can't remember the options right now, but one that the game player chose was to like set their circuits on fire or start a fire like in on them, on the
Yes.
enemy character, and then
Hmm.
then they came in after they were distracted and blew them away.
Yeah.
Pew pew.
And can we would be so remiss in not mentioning this, and I'm sure Arcadius is gonna run right the fuck away with it, is that a lot of mentioned as a reward for hunting down a cyber psycho that was terrorizing the community, she was given a sniper rifle that could shoot through
Mm,
cover.
It had X-ray
hmm
vision. It had X-ray vision. No one is safe.
hmm
But she did say it couldn't shoot through like really thick stuff, like a barrier and a door. It was more like if there's a singular wall or a singular piece of sheet metal, you could probably shoot through that.
Yeah, but that's better than nothing.
Oh, it is.
And I'm sure if I'm not sure, Arcadius, are you gonna play it? Are you gonna
I
choose to
am,
play
but
it?
what I really don't know is whether or not I should wait till I get a PC built and get it for the
Mm.
PC or get it for PS. So I don't know yet.
Okay.
I would
Well,
like to get it for a PC because it will probably look a whole
Yee.
lot better. But
well,
Yee.
we'll see.
don't forget they're also this is news that came out a little bit ago, but I believe they mentioned maybe it was connected with the Xbox, which is kind of how it slipped by our radar. But they mentioned that it's going to be released on current consoles, but there will be uh, an upgraded version, however you want to say it, that will be ready for the new Xbox. when that console drops, as well as the PS5. So just putting that out there.
Were they talking about
Yeah.
cross-play support when they said that? Like you could transfer saves between any platform?
That might have been
Because
it.
I know some games will allow you to move, like GTA, for instance, will allow you to move your console save over to PC, which would be pretty nice.
They were. I just honestly, it's been a while since I read that, or maybe even heard it on Inside Gamer or something like that. But it was specifically Cyberpunk 2077 will be on the next generation of of Xbox, and if you purchase it on your original and purchase the new Xbox, you don't have to buy it again.
Yeah,
You'll just get the upgraded version.
that's pretty nice.
hmm And that's also going to be available for the PlayStation.
Basically, it probably boils down to I won't be buying it right when it comes out because I'll want to either A, get it for the PS5, or B, get it for a PC.
Yeah.
And if I
Danny's
get a P-
here!
And
Hey,
if I get a
Danny.
PS5, since it's 4K, that pretty much means I need to upgrade my TV.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Dude, you
I'm
should
gonna
do
end up
that.
doing that. I'm
Do
gonna
that.
do that.
Holiday season.
I've been
Black
eyeing one of
Friday.
those Best Buy specials.
Mm.
So much screen, so much TV,
hmm
all the TV.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So I think overall we're actually pretty excited about Cyberpunk 2077. Scorch will be playing it on PC.
PC.
I will more than likely be playing it on PS4, although the way that COVID has my online spending going, I might
You
have
have
a
to hold back.
PC.
Oh
No,
my goodness.
I might have a PC.
She's going full.
Oh man, it's so. I mean, we all
She's
have to
gone
cope
full
different
PC
ways, right?
Master Race.
We
Well,
all got to cope.
Vest, you said that you were in the throes of saving up for a PC, right?
Yeah, I'm already like on the way to saving for a new PC anyway,
Can
but
I
I might
ask you?
just trigger it before then.
Danny says, "Yay, PC gang!" Um, can I ask you if you have like, I know you have like a price window that you're going for. Have you picked out any like models or company that you're gonna go with or anything like that? Because
I'm not full.
I know you don't want to build it.
No, I don't want to build it.
But it's
I have lady
not
fingers,
that bad.
and no, I just don't want to do it.
I mean, that's fair.
But yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But I was when I first was approaching this after you said you were doing your PC. I was
Mhm.
looking at Corsair's models.
Okay. It's gonna be one breezy piece if you pick Corsair.
and mainly because they have some different options there, but they also had a model that was built for gaming, but it had some of the specs that were needed for like some hardcore intensive like graphic works and stuff.
Uh-huh.
That's the person who doesn't really know PC stuff.
Like rendering and stuff like that? Artists
Yes.
and all that?
Yes, future
Okay.
plans, and I got this whole suite of stuff. So,
Like you'd be going like AMD rather than Nvidia or Intel. Is it Intel? I'm thinking about the chipset.
Yeah.
Your girl don't know. That's why she's gonna pay somebody else to do it.
Okay. Well, I thought it
Um,
was fun to like dig through all of that stuff, but if you
and I
don't,
mean,
that's fine.
like, what will my money give me? That's the best at this price point.
Okay.
That's what I care about.
I will be very interested to see what you end up with
hmm
and
I
how many
honest-
rainbows it's going to generate.
Oh,
37. Oh,
oof.
That's a lot of rainbow
Mine will
power.
be the opposite. I want mine to be a crisp, clean, lightless box of power.
Wow, dude. That's kind of sad,
I
man.
do not want RGB. I do not need a strobe in my office. I do not need a light show.
Well, let me tell
I
you,
already have a keyboard for that too, by the way. So
I
I don't
have
know.
to turn my PC completely off at night, or it's so
See?
bright that it like keeps me
See?
awake.
Nonsense.
It seems like there's a little bit of vitriol in the chat. Somebody's angry that we titled our podcast one thing and then they came in while we were talking about something else. And let me mention that podcasts have an ebb and flow, and it is a process of conversation that brings opinions forth and ideas from one place to another. So, us specifically talking about one thing away from your ears, although kind of a radical idea, is not unheard of.
Yeah, and it'll be there when we end the stream.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. You can go back and listen to
It's
it
on the
if you
internet
really want.
forever. Too late.
Yep, it is. So, do we want to go back to Cyberpunk? Do we have anything else to say there? Do we want to
Not
move
really,
on?
other than what was shown made it more intriguing and not less intriguing.
Yeah, definitely.
One
yeah,
thing that kind of concerns me is due to the complexity of the game, and I think this got brought up between the four of them, is how buggy do you think it still will be on launch?
I don't
Because
know.
there's so much packed into this game. Like how thoroughly vetted do you think they can even make the game when it launches?
Well, I imagine that's partially why they pushed it back another time.
Yeah, but if as long as they take their time, because currently there's not many games on the market that have really vetted their games other than a few because they're just going to rely on, oh, we'll just do a rolling patch. Oh, we'll just fix that later. And then the game ends up kind of relaunching like garbage and then they sort of fix it as they go.
Yeah. Um, well, I know that this is a thorough company, right? They do Witcher, and The Witcher shipped pretty solidly. This is different, but their work ethic is similar, right? It's the same
Yeah, I
company.
don't doubt that they can't do it. It's just I'm wondering if in the name of, getting back their payback as soon as possible, that somebody somewhere is going to push this thing out into the ocean when it's not ready to swim quite yet and it's going to become a cluster.
Well, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, we've got precedents for that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Danny says that I think that visual bugs will be a common thing for the beginning. I think so.
But here's the weird part. You're going to be able to experience probably some of those visual bugs while you're in mid-main dialogue since you have the ability to look around. So you won't know if what you're looking at is actually supposed to be part of the game or if it's like something you're witnessing that's an anomaly. And I'm wondering if that's going to screw with the story because you're going to be thinking that something is one thing, but it's really not.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, we won't really know until we get our hands on it, right?
True.
I'm optimistic, but I'm also not going to be saying that it's like going to be a perfect thing because it's not going to be.
no, but I think the level of quality is going to be pretty high overall. And again, that is purely based on how the overall quality of their previous games, and I do think that they'll push as hard as they can to have that level of fidelity and um, less jankiness as they possibly can. However, there has been like a window of I don't know, inactivity or when everyone was trying to figure out this whole COVID thing, and I'm sure they're back on track, but I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why the game was pushed back again, was just to make
Yeah.
up for that
Yeah.
that whatever you
Dev
call
team had
it.
to go home for a week or something.
Yeah, or 2 or 3, or like they had to. I know with DE specifically, like they moved everybody to home, and so they had to work that out. You know,
Yeah.
um, and who knows? Like I know with my company did it. They did it rather quickly, but even the call center people had to be taken care of and like
Mm,
put to work at home.
there's a
So
lot.
There is
yeah,
a
there's a
lot.
lot that goes involved that we're just not even thinking about when it comes to like what they had to do with their offices across,
Ah!
the gaming
There's a witch.
sphere.
Ow. Ow.
So
So Danny has a question for us.
ask away.
She wants to know what background we'll pick when we decide to play. Like
On
Nomad, Corpo, or Street Kid.
Street Kid.
I'll probably start as Corpo because I'm wondering if you get more access to some of that higher tech by going down that tree.
Mm.
Well, that was some of the things that they were mentioning, right? Oh, also, I was gonna go Corpo.
Okay.
Was that your background will play into dialogue trees when you're talking to people, and also your backstory will not be like relegated to simply backstory. It shapes some of the quests in the game. So I imagine that being a corpo and being able to pull a few of those strings is going to pay off if
Get some
that's the
swanky
direction that you want to
tech.
go. More guns that shoot through things. Guns that shoot guns.
Or just more gun.
More gun.
Well, I'm actually kind of torn between Street Kid and Nomad, and that's because there's a character archetype that I really enjoy that falls into, like, kind of like in the middle of that. I might pick Nomad just because I feel like it'll be underrepresented overall.
Probably.
And so that's just what I'm thinking, because I feel like Street Kid would just be more fun, and Corporal you'd have more access to, like you guys were saying, you might have more access to like the tech tree. So what can you actually do with nomads? And maybe that'll let me get closer to Johnny Silverhands sooner. Who knows?
Yeah.
Eyes on the prize, people.
Danny
Eyes on the prize.
says she's gonna go for Corpo Hacker. So
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna dump all of her points into like tech and stuff.
I think the
Well, the tech
tech
part is
makes
really
life
cool.
easy in some regards, but I'm really curious as to what kind of weaponry mods you can have in there. Because you play with the more you play with the weapons, the more stuff you get for them. So it's like, well, how swanky can you get your sidearms and shotguns and all of that stuff?
Well,
I mean, heck, you might be able to turn your shotguns into bazookas.
you're gonna be able to go all the way to tactical.
Oh, you know it. Be blinged out in the
Tactical.
latest.
Oh yeah.
I want a finger pistol.
Like a gun
Like
inside your
literally
hand.
have a gun in my finger, so mid conversation you can just go pew, and no one suspects a thing. The one-shot wonder, the finger pistol.
The finger pistol. No one is gonna expect it. That's right.
No,
No.
you're gonna be sitting there joking, doing finger pistols, and they're gonna be like, ah, and then bam, and you're like, gotcha.
But then you're gonna need like another finger because the end of your finger is just shot like somebody else.
Details.
Oh man. Danny's planning on dumping as many hours into Cyberpunk as she did Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh my goodness, that's not healthy, Danny. Yeah, you calm down now. There are limits.
So, we're imagining that Corpo will give you like
More militant style
more
weaponry,
access to
possibly.
like the corporate realm. So do you think
Maybe?
Street Kid and Nomad will have a similar thing but in different like areas?
It would
Will
only make
Nomad give
sense.
you access to like more cars and stuff? Will
No,
Street
oh,
Kid
that's
give
possible.
you access to something else?
I think Nomad might give you access to weaponry you can't get in the city.
Yeah?
or you can only get in special locations because you're part of the nomad clan that can obtain these black market weapons that you could never otherwise get.
Yeah. They did mention that they were smugglers, right? Nomads.
Exactly. So you might be able to get some pretty one-off cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess, like being street kid, you would maybe have more access to what? It's city informations, like
I don't know.
stuff
I think
going. I
just
don't know.
different kinds of information. I think at this point, no matter what class you pick, they're going to enable you to find information, but the people you find it from and how you find it might differ.
Yeah.
Because to say one of the classes is short information, that's basically saying, well, you playing as this person won't be nearly as fulfilling as these others because you won't know what's going on. I mean, that's lame. They're not going to do that.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm just trying to figure out like what specific thing with the street kid that you'll have.
Well,
What were the other trees?
one of the things in the demo was that spoiler for the demo that only certain people played. You never made off with that person's car. It was bugged. The cops were called, and the owner of the car walked out to head you off before you drive off with it. But that's part of the Street Kid prologue, and in the Street Kid prologue, the cop who arrests you knows you and lives in the same neighborhood as you. And instead of following through with the owner of the car's demands of just drowning you in the ocean, he lets you go essentially because they like share a rapport. So maybe you'll have more pull with the regular working man. Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, it's pure speculation zone at this point.
Do 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 do
they
do.
love to see it.
Yeah. But you were asking what the other what was best?
What the other tree? I was just again just trying to figure out what those other like like special um items or skills or whatever you might get through the street kid. I know that Alana said that she chose street kid. I just don't recall her speaking like in depth about what she was getting from that background. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she didn't because, like she said, she couldn't take notes at the same time. She tried to play as much as possible, and more than likely, what it is that she just kind of focused on the immediate C. And whenever the game comes out, everyone's going to be able to look for what they're intending to look for, rather than what you're simply taking in for the first time that no one else knows about. So since we already kind of have an idea, the way we're going to see the world as it comes out is going to be different than like the way she saw it and reported on it. So more than likely it just has to do with timing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll only ever find out when we actually get our hands on it.
Mm-hmm.
Which will be soon, Tim.
Yeah. Oh, Danny says the corpo gets to ride on a flying car. I'm so down for it.
It's more like a bus, but I think they called it a car.
That was one of the things the other people mentioned that when they played
Yep.
the corpo is that
You got
you
to ride
got
the flying
in a flying
cars.
car. It didn't really
This
seem
is
like
a
you had
true
control
statement.
over it though.
No, that's why I said it's just the cinematic taxi, so to speak. It's not something you get to fly around.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see how far that goes. Because I imagine eventually, regardless of whichever like background you choose, you will be the guy that's super rich and has everything and will be able to have a flying car at your disposal whenever.
But I don't think it'll have pew-pews. Unless you take over one of those government things, in which case, yes, it might have pew-pews.
Might not have pew pews, or might. Who knows? I have
Total
found
side story. It
so
totally
much
gets me
coal.
whenever I see that meme poster, Anatomy of a Pew.
I don't think I know what you're talking about.
You haven't? Okay,
No.
you should go look for it. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
Anatomy of a Pew.
Pew pew. Hit hit.
Do we have anything else to add on Cyberpunk?
Um, I think I've spoken
I've
about
exhausted
it
what I want to
enough.
say.
Bass, you got anything?
No, just that I'm excited and it's coming soon and we'll be here playing it.
Danny, did you know? Did you know that Vass is gonna be purchasing Cyberpunk? She made it sound. She made it sound like she wasn't gonna play it. Were you in those conversations where she's like,
I think
eh.
I think you guys just hear what you want to hear. I don't think I've ever said I'm not going to play the game.
I
I
think the only thing that throws off is there wasn't a definitive yes until now.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was more like an implied maybe.
I'm very happy to hear that you'll be joining us on this journey, Vast, because friendship is
Well,
magic.
friendship is magic, and I've journeyed with you guys long enough to know that we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And you've journeyed with me through some stuff too. So,
Hmm. I think we're done. What do y'all
Mhm.
think?
So ends the day.
So ends the day. Danny, if you want to chat with us, we will send you an invitation after we get off. Um, we are ending the podcast. If you liked it, tell us so. Subscribe to our stuff. Share it around. We'd love to grow our community a little bit. And uh, if you didn't, you can find the door. You can find the exit. We don't give a shit. That's about it. See y'all later.